technology and AI are going to be taking the jobs of people who have not adapted and adopted technology. But those who have become adept at utilizing technologies will find that they will continue to be there and benefit from the technologies. So technology can potentially wipe out industries. I think we still say, if he's taking photos, we say a Kodak moment. The generation of today may not even know about Kodak. It is still a Kodak moment, but it's no longer a Kodak moment. Because Kodak is no longer there. I think you might remember that if you're looking at this, there was a time whereby we had a very dominant brand. I think because it's no longer that vibrant, because I'm not accusing them of greenwashing, I'll speak about it, and it's Nokia. There was a point at which everyone you see had a Nokia. From a strategic perspective, you will find that it becomes one of the case studies of a group chief executive who is seated in an expo boardroom and saying, we didn't do anything wrong. We did everything correct. But things just happened because of the dynamism. So technology and emerging technologies, it is everything. If you don't disrupt, you get disrupted, and a whole organization or a whole industry can actually become extinct. So you then find that battery is running low. I hope we have a backup. Battery is running low. But you then find that, okay. All right. So I was saying, in terms of this instance, you then find the issue of the local concept. In Zimbabwe, we have our own local national development priorities. We have NDS 1, we have NDS 2, we have Vision 2030. Summarized, we want Zimbabwe to be a prosperous upper middle income economy by 2030. And if you are talking about sustainability of operations, you want to be able to talk about how you contribute towards that national agenda. You can't be talking about fantastic issues or things that are utopian. Because the things that you need to be talking about resonate with our grandmother who is sitting somewhere in a remote village and doesn't have access to clean water, doesn't have access to sanitation, or perhaps is living on below $3 or $1 a day. So you want to say, what are the issues in Zimbabwe? What are the issues that, the legacy issues that need addressing? For example, we all of us know that there is such a thing called financial exclusion, whereby because of where you are coming from, because of your background or financial background, you might actually be excluded from consuming financial services. If you don't have a phone, perhaps you can't access WhatsApp banking, perhaps you can't access internet banking. You need to make sure that financial services are available to everyone. And there was something that also caught my attention when Dr. Mzanwesi was presenting. So you find in Zimbabwe, there is also the gender issues. Gender issues. So you find that in terms of sustainability, we are talking about a situation whereby historically you may find that corporates and opportunities were mainly for the males and everything was male dominated. But now you want to ensure that even on your boards, even in your executive, even within your workers, your work complement, staff complement, you have a mix that shows everyone from women to the youth to people living with disabilities. You then find that Dr. Mzamese spoke about access to markets. And even in the corporate world, you find that I spoke about investors. If you are a banking entity, there are partners called correspondent banking institutions. There are things called lines of credit, as an example. And as they do the due diligence he spoke about, I already said I'll build on what the background he gave, because it's more or less what I have. As they do the due diligence on your bank, as an example, they will make decisions on whether or not you are fit to get a line of credit or for you to be a correspondent banking partner with them based on ESG considerations. And this is not a it's not a small matter. When I'm talking about correspondent banking relationships, I'm talking about the ability of a bank to then be able to do international payments. Or for you, when you fly to South Africa or Europe, to be using your Visa card, your ZB or other bank Visa card to transact internationally. So you then find that without that one, your card is not useful. So I'll skip that in the interest of time, but it says you need to be able to prove that your ESG or sustainability profile can be reviewed before you can access international credit lines, before you can get what you call corporate correspondent banking relationships. I think one thing that Dr. Mzamese didn't go at length about is from sustainability perspective. He spoke about emissions, spoke about carbon footprint, etc. There are those that are called your scope 1, your scope 2, your scope 3 emissions. To put it in language that you all understand, you are liable for your own emissions. If you are using a diesel vehicle and emitting the environment, you need to measure that. But you are also liable, if you are a bank, for the emissions that are being done by a company to which you issue a loan. Correct, Dr. Mzamese? And then, if you are there dealing with a corporate that is harming the environment and not regenerating it. So there is one thing to harm the environment, like the ozone layer depletion we're talking about. But then there is also the leg of regenerating or mitigating, like your recycling as an example, your 3 R's. So if they are not regenerating or recycling or mitigating, then that burden, you are not clean, you are also tainted. And then those that they also interact with. So that's your scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. Becomes very important as you interact with partners, how they are also dealing with sustainability and how they are mitigating or regenerating the environment. So at ZB, in the sustainability journey that I spoke about, we started in 2020, more or less, which is why I said we are still in the emerging phase. And what we then did, again, like what Dr. Mzamese said, if you don't, whatever is not measured doesn't get done. Whatever is not measured doesn't get done. So if you are a corporate, in the corporate world, what you want to do is to be able to incorporate the sustainability principles into your strategy. Why? Because every corporate has a strategy to grow, like I said, to grow the shareholder value. But if you don't incorporate sustainability principles, you get to a situation whereby you are just doing things anyhow, because you are saying the end justifies the means, and you are saying as long as we make profit. So we had our own initial attempt at the triple bottom line. The triple bottom line is your triple P. It says your people, your planet, and your profit. These three are all very important, and you want to incorporate them such that as you make your profit, business is in the business of making profit. You establish a business to make profit, but you are looking at people considerations, you are looking at the planet considerations. In the interest of time, I'll just breeze through this. So what we then did was, back in 2020, we had a strategic pillar which said being a good corporate citizen. This pillar has been ever present in our strategy, and currently it has evolved. At some point we said deliver sustainably. Currently in our 5-year plan to 2030 is deliver innovative and sustainable business. So you then find that when we embarked on the journey, we didn't have a purpose statement, and we had to come up with one. It's now called, our purpose statement says, improving people's lives through service. Now, as I go towards the conclusion of my presentation, I'll speak about what are called high impact goals. I already mentioned in passing that impact is dependent on the jurisdiction. What is impactful in Zimbabwe may not be impactful in Europe, as an example. Because in Zimbabwe we have issues of exclusion, of marginalization, of people perhaps living in poverty. In Zimbabwe, you might find that somebody doesn't have a roof on their head. Perhaps they're living in suboptimal shelter. Perhaps they're not having 3 meals that they should have. So what has impact might be actually going into those communities and ensuring that they have got safe drinking water, they have got sanitation, and they perhaps can be capacitated to send kids to school.